on how to interpret our QI, you know how to interpret all this as well. Okay, so this one I will leave it first, and we come to our unit specific KPI. We already have simplified it as focus PDCA. Can you see here? FOCUS PDCA. When they ask to explain, you can explain it by what is our methodology used is the focus PDCA, and when they ask what is fine, F is find a process that need improvement. How do we come up with this topic? Based on our nursing KPIs. When they do audits, we found out that we have a poor compliance on documentation, we have poor compliance on plan satisfaction, therefore we come up with this topic. Okay, so we find a process that needs improvement. So we have a brief statement here. It's written, poorly managed pain can have negative impact on patient physiology and physically. And after we find a process, we organize a group, a team. How are we going to organize a team? Based on 5 core values, which is caring, compassion, commitment, critical thinking or clear-minded, and computer literate. Based on these 5 core values, 5C. Okay? And we clarify the current process by looking at the algorithm, the PAN algorithm. This is how we're going to explain. Then from there, we will understand the process variation by having to do this fishbowl. The team member will sit down and discuss what is the reason, what is why that we have to have poor compliance. So based on, you can see here we have environment, staffing, resources, process, and measures. So what are those factors belongs to that particular, like for example, environment. We have high patient acuity. These are the reasons that maybe we have non-compliance in documentation, right? So if we have staffing, manpower, we have limited patient educator to give education, for example. But do you see why is there is a rate and there is a numbering at the end of the factors? We have a score of 10, we have a score of 7, we have a score of 5. What is the reason? The reason is we have to select those high priority factors that nursing can change or nursing can do something. For example, if let's say high patient acuity, we cannot do anything. We cannot change the patient from acuity to non-acuity, right? And if let's say manpower for patient educator, we can't do anything. We can't recruit more patient educator. Whatever that we can do within our own power for in nursing, like for example, inadequate understanding of pain management algorithm. This one we can do something. We can do in service. We can do the pamphlets. Remember that we have put everything in the file, the laminated copy. Inconsistent documentation, so we created the divider for you to remind each other. This is something that we can do. That's why we put the scoring of 10. There is a numbering telling you that the higher the number, the nursing department that can help to improve. If you're trying to improve on staffing, we cannot do anything unless HR have to recruit staff. Something like that. Do you understand what it means by that? So whenever it's the scoring 6 and above, we will take it as our causative factors. You can see all the 6 here. So you have a score of 8, you have a score of 10. The more the score, the higher the score means that the one that we can help to improve on. Okay, so we have total of 6 causative factors. So from there, we will do our PDCA. PDCA also we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just need to explain one of it. But you need to at least understand what is all this about. For example, the first root cause that we have lack of patient education material. What we do is to understand the problem is we don't have any pain committee to have a patient education material for the patient. So what we'll do is we create the brochure with bilingual, or we create the flip chart bilingual as well for the patient, and we will give as well the brochure to the patient. How do we check whether this is effective? By doing monthly audit. We interview the patient. Do you receive any brochures? Do you receive any pain assessment? Did the nurse ask you on the scoring or ask you on anything based on the flip chart? Then how we act on it is if the patient is satisfied and the result came back is good, so we will maintain it by acting it by maintaining. If let's say the patient said the scoring of our percentages is still poor, then we will need to improve again. We need to change our strategy. Maybe the brochure is not working, so we need to act on it. So this means by act. Okay, after this is the main one that they want us to present. Now you can look on your WhatsApp now, the one that because this is small. The one that you have the graph here, you see there's a red line. The red line one is the one that we want to target to achieve, which is 95%. Okay, and the one that you need to understand the coloring first, the light green is talking about pain assessment, about when the patient is feedback. The light blue is about the pain management satisfaction. The purple is the one documentation, is our all documentation. The red one, as I mentioned, this is our target. So initially, before we start this project, we need to have a baseline data first, a raw baseline saying that how bad we are. In order to have that data, so we conduct an audit, survey on the patient. After that, we come up with a percentage. You can see in January, we have 60%, 80%, which is quite good in satisfaction 80, but we still need to improve. But documentation, we only have 45%. So after that, we implement our first cycle of PDCA. After we have the survey done, then we conduct our first PDCA, means this is the one. Okay? And you can see a slight improvement by the statistics. You can see it's slightly improvement, but it's not that stable. By February and March, you can see slight improvement on the statistics. By then, starting of April, we don't have any raw data. You see, April until August, we don't have any data. It's all zero. Because that time we have no post-operative patient, and because of the pandemic. Therefore, we don't have any statistics. But during this time, we make use of the time because our first PDCA fails. So we make use of this period of time to conduct our second cycle of PDCA. That's why we have improvised our flip chart. We improvise our brochure. We improvise all the divider that you have in the file. What else that we do also? In services, checking on the files, everything we have done during the second cycle. So during the month of September, our patients is back for surgeries. So we have post-operative patients. So we already conducted, and we have quite a good improvement. You can see the graph is going up, but we are still not achieving the red line. The one that you can see is your patient assessment, slightly improvement from 60 to 93%. Your management satisfaction pain is 100%, which is good. So we maintain it. We don't let it drop. The one documentation is the one quite still poor. It's only 75 to 87%. So the average scoring, you will look on the one at the side, on your left side, the green color. The left corner, you can see here for average for the whole year, for pain assessment compliance is only 71%, which is red. It's unacceptable performance. We are still under red, unacceptable. And for pain management satisfaction, 84%. We still need improvement, area for improvement. Remember, our target is 95%. And the one purple, documentation compliance, is only 70%, which we are really needs improvement and is unacceptable. So therefore, based on this, after you all know this, then it can help us to improve, right? We can always, means that we have really lacking in documentation. Either is in your reassessment, either is in your pen assessment, or in your what else? Your IPOC, your multidisciplinary patient education, as well as your nurse's notes. Your pain impairing function is included now. So you need to have all documentation 100% compliance in order to get at least a green zone accepted. So they will monitor again for 6 months. The first 3 months, we already have the results. For the next coming 3 months, I hope that we can have improvement on this so that we can achieve in the green zone. If not, we have to go ahead again for our third cycle. I don't want to go into our third cycle. Okay, so I hope everyone together we can make it happen by improving our documentation, especially documentation. Make use of your flip charts, and the video is coming out. The pain video, the team has come up with the video. Once it's approved by the nursing admin, we will post it or we will put it in the iPad so that you can use it for the patient. Okay, if you can't interpret this one, at least you have an interpretation here. You can read it from here. It's written here, our pain education, everything documentation is being observed, and during April to August that we don't have any data because of the pandemic and it's still being observed, and as well as that's why we conducted our second cycle of PDCA. It's all written here. And for the outcome here is that we are still under performance. The improvement plan here, you can also mention here what have we done throughout the PDCA. We have creation of bilingual, as I mentioned, with charts, brochures, and the videos, and it's still ongoing since January. And also we have a patient educator that to tell them that to have education on the pain. That's why also still ongoing. That's why I came out with the list. Any education you want to have the patient educator to talk to the patient, just write down on the list so that when they come, just pass it on to them and they will do the rounds. This is not a formal thing. This depends on you. If you have any education that we can't do, we can't talk to the patient. And then what we have here is reinforcement of consistent handover. Again, this is about handover. Once handover the shift, the documentation is lost. There's no continuity of the documentation. Either it's a pain reassessment or you hand over during your shift. What is this? When you change of shift or you go for break. And as well as the last one is your refresher lectures and in-services. So this one we will do every quarterly. It's still ongoing. The last one I think we did during September. And then the next one I think this month I will try to do one more for the in-services. So you are expected to present this during JCI. Because during JCI they said that they will choose who to present. The camera will zoom at, for example, you are all standing here, the camera will zoom and the tracer will ask, okay, can I have this lady with the spectacles to present this? So you will expect that to present. What we're going to do is, you guys practice on how to talk. Whenever that, like for this week, I will be the one who doing the talking. For next week, we will just randomly pick forever. For example, maybe Fadil, can you explain to me this?
No, only for me.
So you can write down a small notes on what to explain, and then by the time you talk, the more you talk, the more natural it will be. Okay, doesn't matter if it's you're working on JCI or not, but try to make an effort to understand what it's about, what is our QI specific KPIs about. Okay, any questions? No? So I hope, I will also make a schedule. I will talk to the QI members again, since our two main QI team leader is not here.
Trying to share it in the group.
We will try to do in services and we will try to talk this more often. Okay, any questions about this? If you know how to interpret this, you know how to interpret this as well. It's the same thing. It's the format is the same. Just maybe pick one, or maybe just patient identification. We have what? Acceptable? Compliance 100%. We're still under average, 98 only. We're still not under green zone. We're still area need to improve. This is the same thing like the interpretation. Any other questions about this? Yes, I
Just Carlo is documenting all your talks, so
Yes,
that's
sure,
fine
sure.
to share it in the group.
Yeah, you can share it,
Because you
but,
are talking about a lot of
Yes.
information, so it's better to be.
but you can come up with your own words. You can come up with your own this one, as long as you understand what is this graph about. Okay, guys? Okay, I think, do we still have time, Carla, for PCI? What do you think?